I'm sat in ID Studios in Hackney for what is a very special episode of the House Culture Podcast. Just sat in front of me are Terry Farley, Stuart Patterson and Dave Jarvis, the trio behind the hugely influential Faith Fanzine and series of parties. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Now it's 2024 and it's a very special year for Faith as it's celebrating its 25th anniversary. We want to talk about the journey of Faith and start at the beginning. So if you guys can cast your minds back to the last century, 1999, when the fanzine first launched.
So basically from rags to rags.
Yeah.
Well, it was a party before the fanzine. Mm-hmm. So, but I mean, Terry came up with the idea of Faith, and well, go on. You came up with the idea.
Well, basically, to be quite honest with you, right, in around 1999 when we started it, right, it was pretty poor for house music in London. You know, trance was really big.
Yeah.
That head candy kind of thing was dominating, like the Ministry, and really kind of, you know, the music that we liked. It was really hard to find places to play it. Mm-hmm. Dave was doing a small party with his kind of crew. I was still doing the occasional Junior Boys Own party with kind of like, you know, Americans who really liked Junior Boys Own, and we'd say, oh, should we do a little party? And we'd put something on, 200 people. Stu was doing a really good party called Soul Sonic over in West London. Mm-hmm. And he was also doing Sunday Sonic, which was in West London.
Not in an arts club.
Yeah.
Bill Brewster was also doing a really good party. Yeah. I think it was it Low Life?
It was Low Life then. Yeah.
And we kind of like, look, you know, between us, we could easily get 600-700 people if we join forces, which is much better than like little parties for 150.
I think we even started smaller because we actually did the first party August Bank Holiday 99
at the Annex.
In the Annex with Dean Street, where we'd moved Soul Sonic to, but that was only like a 250 cap, and
we
didn't really push it, and it sold out straight away, and then
a queue around the block as well.
And I think, did we do anything from then, between then and Fabric? Because then certainly from that point we
did two parties.
I don't know. I can't remember doing something between.
And then we got offered Fabric, which we did really cheap, like a £5, wasn't it?
Well, that's it. I mean, we pissed off Fabric.
15 lineup kind of thing. But that's where it really, I think.
But it went. I can't remember if we did a party, because I always think, how did we jump from 250 people on a Sunday at the Annex to Boxing Day with 3,000 people, queues around Fabric, sold out? I mean, it was. We pitched it well because it was that New Year. It was a Millennium New Year, so everyone was doing, including me, stupidly priced New Year's Eve tickets, so people were just like, oh, you know, don't take the piss. So no one was buying New Year's Eve tickets, including Fabric, I think, but you know, it's including virtually every venue, because everyone tried to price it up, and you know, DJs and agents were doing it, so it was a knock-on effect. And when we went, right, it's a £5 party in Fabric, and it just flew, and it sold out. So I think it was that. It was sort of, and I think we actually called it. We might have the advert in the first fanzine there, the anti-millennium rip-off party, I think. And we had a really eclectic lineup on a blueprint for Faith in the Future, really, parties, and it flew, and we sold it out, didn't we? 3,000 people, and we were just like, where did that come?
All the DJs kind of bought into it and would play them for like 200 quid or whatever, you know. And it was amazing. It kind of gnawed our vibe with Fabric a little bit, didn't it?
I think it did, yeah. I mean, I get it, but we weren't. I mean, you know, it was that sort of anti-millennium rip-off was at the whole industry, including myself, because I had a New Year's Eve party on, and I overpriced it, so everyone got burnt for being greedy. Yeah. So we pitched it right, but like I said, it was a good blueprint for Faith parties in the future, and something we tried to stick to is the multi-room parties, because our crowd is fairly diverse. I think it's always important that we've got that mixture of music on, and that's with age, everything, you know. So we always have my perfect is I know Terry likes a one room focus sometimes, but I love a 3-room party to get stuck into. But,
yeah, I mean, like you mentioned that kind of era, that 1999 era especially, you know, that was the height of that super club era, the superstar DJ and all of those things, and something like the party you've just described is a real reaction to that.
Absolutely, and that was what Faith was about. It was a reaction to that.
I think
I mean, there were some good parties though. I mean, we'd all go to Lazy Dog, Ben Watts Club
on a Sunday.
But
that
was
brilliant. Super small though.
Yeah.
And then after that, you could go to Vertigo at the Cross, which was the Italian party for the Italian workers, and they would have like Joker Cell playing on a Sunday night till 6 a.m. There was good things on, but they were all, you know, they were all being pushed to like Sunday or over here and all that.
Yeah.
And
they were smaller as well, weren't they?
And so, you know, we were a reaction to that. And with the fanzine, I mean, Leo was Stu's partner in Soul Sonic.
Leo Zero,
And we were talking about, you know, well, what should we call it? And we said, well, we'll call it Faith because it's on a Sunday. Because it just happened to be on a Sunday. If we'd done the party on a Saturday, we'd have probably called it something completely different.
We'd still be thinking for a name.
And we called it Faith, and I was kind of like throwing ideas about how it would be styled to Leo. And he was going like, should we do a fanzine? And it was like, yeah. You know, the initial Leo design fanzines, you know, are great. I mean, they're
so
really
you were
good.
happy to dip your toe back into that world after Boys Own Fanzine?
No, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. Last night, you know, I was at Dover Street Market, and they are doing Dover Street Market a range of boys' own T-shirts and junior boys' own T-shirts that they've actually taken from the book.
Yeah.
You know, and they've sort of like twisted it into a bit more of a kind of, you know, thing for younger men and, you know, for younger people as opposed to, and it's really good. But I kind of look at him, and I was talking to the guy last night, and I said, because the really good T-shirt is Bermondsey Goes Balearic, and it's on the back. And I said, you changed my spelling mistake, didn't you? Which was in Boys Own. I spelt Balearic wrong. I mean, I didn't know how to spell it. Oki had wrote this article about Ibiza. Don't tell anyone it's me, because it's mentioning drugs. And this is what's going on in Ibiza, but it's really secretive. Okay, I'll write it. And there was a couple of little things going on in Bermondsey where a lot of the kids come from. And I just spelled it wrong. I mean, to be honest with you, you know, there was no internet to check on. I mean, what would I have done? I'd gone sort of found an A to Z of London and looked up Bermondsey.
There was another one. What was the other one? Boca.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. Oh, terrible. You know, the name of the band, Boca Juniors. You know,
it all adds to the charm, though, right? When you look back on it.
This is what I said to the geezer last night. Actually, I said, you know, he said, I changed the spelling for you, so it's on the new T-shirts, right? And I went, it's not authentic, though, is it? You know, authentic Farley is always a mistake. But no, I mean, fanzine culture is really important, and it gives you a kind of an outlet to talk about the records you're playing, talk about the DJs you love, and it was good for us because, you know, we could take pictures of the party, put them in, people go, oh look, that looks good, so you know, I'll go with that.
And so for content to make it into the fanzine, what were the main ingredients for a feature or an article in terms of your taste? It's not necessarily always about the music; it's about the scene, the culture, like what people are doing.
I think, to be honest with you, we you know, I said to Leo, what we want to do is take a lot of imagery from Northern Soul, you know, with that real kind of anal keep the faith idea, and we want to make it so it's not for everyone. So, you know, there's articles about, you know, clubs in the Bronx and, you know, like and stuff like that, the warehouse in the Bronx, and we would do things like that, and it would be like, you know, oh, I've got to find out about this, you know, and also kind of like the way you write it is the way we all speak to each other.
Yeah, and I think the ethos that runs through all kind of 3 volumes of it is always acknowledging the past, but not just being retro, always making sure we're pushing new DJs, new clubs, So it's not just about the past,
Yeah.
and always making sure there's some humour in there.
Yeah.
You know, so it's different than your average dance mag. It's a fanzine. It's not a magazine. You know.
Yeah. And the cover stars from that first initial era, you have people like Harvey, Derek Carter, Kerry Chandler. These were people that weren't necessarily in that. When we talk about the Super Club era, these were much more of an underground scene, and this is really what you guys were pushing and keeping that, like you say, the fight alive in terms of that Northern Soul kind of sense.
Yeah.
I think as well with back in those days, probably with Queens and Full Circle, which me and Terry, and I know Stuart did as well, but me and Terry would go religiously. It was like a Sunday, wasn't it, Terry, when we go and it was brilliant because like you'd have DJs like Richie Horton there, and then you'd have Danny Tenagula, Tony Humphreys,
on a Sunday afternoon.
Just so many people played there, loads, wasn't there?
Yeah, Derek May played there.
Did Harvey play?
I don't know.
I'm sure he would have done.
I never saw him. But he probably did.
Yeah, Derek Carter, wasn't it?
And I mean, when we first started, then we started doing the parties. We were in a really good position because all these DJs like Dixon, Arme, Derek Carter, and Rohan, and all them, they would play for us for like,
affordable prices.
Yeah. Before the greedy bastard agents got involved and got their foot in the door and made it impossible for the next faith to come along.
Yeah.
There should be a load of 20-somethings putting on the next faith, but then they're not. They're priced out of it.
Yeah. Which is a shame.
What was the party we did with Rohan? And I think Norman was with him, wasn't he?
That was at the Key.
The Key.
I think they did.
I mean, he turned up with that huge box of records, didn't he? Like 3 length box of records. It was like a coffin. And we were like, how did he get that over on the plane? And he walks in, didn't he, with that guy, and he just stacked them down, and we were like,
that was his first. His first day UK gig was with us on a New Year's Eve.
He tore the roof off, didn't he?
Remember the New Year's Eve one when there was
no, we played the Key before.
New Year's Eve was his first gig in the UK, definitely. And we brought him back because New Year's Eve was a disaster, not down to us, but there was a riot outside the club, nothing to do with us, and it wasn't. But that was his first UK gig.
Really?
But we were like, look, that wasn't a great.
Norman played, didn't he?
Yeah, it was, and he came back and played the Key and tore it up. But that's a side story.
Yeah, we're talking about those parties and the London venues of that era, places like the Cross, even Pasha in London, Turn Mills. These are places where you guys were putting on parties.
Yeah.
Some of those places sadly don't exist anymore.
No.
Firstly, how shocking and shameful is that? Is that just for the next generation, like you say, to be able to find these more underground spaces? And for those watching or listening, what are your abiding memories of these spaces that don't necessarily exist anymore?
I think it's part of it is business and evolution. I mean, what I feel is a really missed area or changed area is definitely Freight Yard, King's Cross, because you had Bagley's, you had the Cross, and you had the Key. All great venues in their own right. All gave something different and something. I think we've done a part in each of them.
Yeah.
We did a party in the Key and Bagley's and thing. So that has really changed. But I mean that's just gentrification of areas, which is King's Cross. So that's going to happen. I mean, luckily there's new venues popping up that are something. We were at the Cause on Saturday, and that's new or fairly new.
The London East one. Yeah,
and that's so it's everything's moving out, which is it's kind of understandable because that is what happens. But I think it's fresh because you don't want to be. Some venues are sorely missed, but I think you don't want to be dancing in the same venues forever. So I think it's good that we need new venues, and there are new venues coming. Not maybe as many as we need, but there are really good new.
There's another place that I've been going probably about a year and a half. Tryouts. I've been to about 3 of them now. Yeah, which is Logan Fisher's thing, and that's basically in someone's studio, but it looks like a warehouse. It's about 3 floors. Yeah, it just reminds me of going to parties back in the 80s. Obviously it was a lot rougher then, in terms of this is a bit more cleaner, but it's got that warehouse vibe, and it's the sound system and the lights and the music. It's just like you come out of there and you go, this is brilliant. Really is good.
Good feeling.
I really liked it.
And what for you guys? Just quick fire question in terms of one of those venues that might not exist anymore. Which one do you miss the most? Would you say?
Oof. I loved the Key. I loved the vibe in the Key because there was a couple of rooms.
The Key was great for us. I mean, we had. I think we were the first people to have Dixon in London.
I think we had Dixon, Todd Terrier, and Andrew playing together on the same bill.
Yeah, Andrew and Dixon
Weatherall.
played.
Yeah.
I think Dixon went on after Andrew.
Didn't we do? What did we do at Turnmills?
Oh well, with Turnmills,
Turnmills
we did
was brilliant.
Turnmills is sorely missed as well.
All to go in there.
Yeah, that's a good one, Dave, because we did once. We always pushed it, and we managed to get 6 rooms out of them. We took over the tapas bar next door, so we had a reggae room where the ceiling fell in because Dave Hill brought his own rig, and literally the ceiling came down. I think it was who was playing at Earlgate said Justin Robertson doing Andrew Weatherall played a reggae set. So Turnmills, I sorely
and
missed.
there was am I right? There was the guy who come with the sound system. It was the toast guy doing the toasting was blind.
Right. Yes.
Wasn't he?
Yeah. That's right.
And it was fantastic. And I remember Andrew playing a reggae bootleg of No Diggity.
Right. Yeah.
With this like mad bass, and the whole place was shaking. It was brilliant.
And they were great fun because it was 6 rooms. They were Easter Thursday, and there'd be like 3,000 tickets, and they used to fly. But we'd have I think Ame in one room, the reggae room, Sean Rowley doing a sort of cool pop room with Jono from Bugged Out. Then you had the lights of Charisma in the back ballroom.
Yeah.
It was real. It was real fun to program because it was like we called it London Tribes Unite. It was we really try and get everyone together and under the same roof. They were my favourites. But
Easter Thursdays. Yeah, I mean we don't do them anymore. Do we?
Those parties you mentioned before, like the Cross, Pasha, were Boxing Day.
Yeah.
I wouldn't dare doing a party on Boxing Day now. I don't know who would, but it was every year for years.
Boxing Day was a bit, and Easter Thursday. They were
Easter Thursday's still good, but Boxing Day was crazy.
Yeah.
But
New Year's Day was a popular one as well, wasn't it? With places. Do you remember
I think
that?
it still is New Year's Day.
New Year's Day is better. New Year's Eve is dodgy.
New Year's Eve used to be, and then that's gone.
But I mean, there's so much rich history in London venues and people that have put their heart and soul into venues, and it's sad to see some of them go. Sometimes because I know, personally, I know how hard it is to run a venue. So, hats off to them, and hats off to people like the Cause that are doing it. Saturday, if you ever kind of start to feel jaded about clubs and stuff, you go to a party like Saturday there, Tenaglia on Ron Trent, and then younger kids playing inside. And it was from 18-year-olds to 65-year-olds in there, and it was a great party, and it shows. I was thinking that on the way down there, how essential London still is as an essential club capital of the world. It still is. Where anyone says it really is.
And in terms of, we're talking about clubs on land. Obviously, you're quite famed for doing Thames boat parties as well on the on the Silver Sturgeon. I mean, a boat party is quite special.
Have you ever seen that boat? Have you seen the Sturgeon?
Yeah.
I mean, we blagged that. What did I say to get the boat? I said it's a launch party. We thought we might have the likes of Paul Weller or Boy George turning up. So I said it was a launch party for. I know I'd used the magazine. It was a launch party for a fashion magazine. Anyway, wasn't someone swinging off the chandeliers on the first party, Dave? Literally.
Yeah.
So we got over that, and they let us back because the partake was so good. But they were like, "You blagged us." You were like, "This isn't a magazine launch." I went, "Well, it's our magazine, and it's just come out."
The Derek May one.
And I mean, we had some great ones on there, and it was they were just like, we don't normally do this, but it was like we took their bank holiday Sundays and some great DJs on there and great fun. But I think they started letting other club nights go on, and it got too much. So like, no more of this. But they kind of sell out.
They sell out so quick.
Just in a day, everyone loves
people now. I mean, we're just getting so many people want to go, but.
Yeah, but
we can't push it any further.
No, there's a finite amount of people you can get on a boat.
That is it. That is literally no extras. So last time I had to sell to people their tickets back, which was embarrassing. But anyway.
Cool. And so if we're moving forward through the Faith journey, obviously the end of that first Faith era was kind of the last fanzine, do I have it right, dropped in like 2012 in that first iteration. Is that right?
Well, no. I mean, what happened was we We started the Faith Forum online.
Yes.
For all thoughts.
So this was basically a forum, like a social media network before a social media network even existed.
Pre-social media, Faith Forum.
You had to have a hard skin.
That come after Leo. We stopped doing the fanzine. It just kind of it was quite a lot of stress.
Oh, it's labour intensive.
Leo, I think, was getting stressed out by us being on his case, and we was probably sort of, so we stopped that, and then we started the forum as an alternative to the fanzine, and that kind of become this mad beast. Mad beast, with people sort of joining it, and we didn't know most of the people who come on and become kind of like the leading members of the thing.
One of them.
We didn't know them before then. They were just kind of these
people that might come to the event,
but we didn't know them. And then they sort of, they had these, they had names. There was
pseudonyms.
There was like Jimmy P. There was, Mr. Brown around town. There was Mozza, and these people, become friends. But it did become a bit of a bear pit.
Yeah.
Right. It did become a bit of a bear pit, and I cringe to think of some of the things that I said on there, because I definitely got carried away with kind of just carried away with it, know, and I wouldn't I wouldn't dream of behaving like that nowadays.
Yeah.
But so sorry to anyone I did abuse and all that. And
late now, mate.
Well, it is late now, but it is what it is. And so anyway, so some of the people who are now on the forum, said, why don't we do a fanzine?
Yeah.
And there's a guy called Jimmy. And I said, let's do it. Let's me and you do a fanzine. And we did this fanzine called Strobe Like Honey. And it was basically one really big piece of paper like that that folded up into a piece of A4.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was the most basic fanzine you could have. Little pictures and that. And it was, it was kind of bits of like Paris is Burning, a bit of this and a bit of that. And everyone went, we really like that. Why don't you do a fanzine? And Jimmy said, I'll be involved.
Yeah.
And there was another guy, Rule, who kind of helped out getting the
sponsors,
adverts in, and also he was quite good at getting some of the interviews and doing interviews and getting them in. And then suddenly we had loads of people who, all of a sudden, a lot of these people who were on the forum were also like sitting in offices doing graphic designing. I'll design a page and I'll do this, and so suddenly Faith Strobe Like Honey was a thing. And that was even bigger than the original Faith. And that kind of went on until basically the crash. We had the crash, didn't we? The financial crash. And no one had any money to advertise from. So because it's always been free. Really important. It's always been free. So if we got £2,000 in advertising, we give the printer £2,000, and we got £2,000 worth of magazines to give away. And when we no longer had £2,000 or even £1,000, we just had to stop it.
And where?
And sorry, I was going to say as well, we kind of covered everyone we wanted to cover by then. I think all the people we wanted to cover kind of had been done. So we kind of, it was a bit like,
you don't want to repeat yourself.
We're repeating ourselves, and
And so, as a free fanzine, like you say, where were people getting it? Who was stocking it for you, and how far afield did it get?
Well, all the shops, obviously, from Black Market, Reckless, Sounds of the Universe, Rough Trade. I mean,
Beggar's Banquet.
Yeah, Beggar's Banquet, my shop when I was there. But and we got it across even like to Piccadilly, didn't we? In Manchester, and we got it up to Scotland.
Somehow.
What was Rubber Dub?
Stussy.
Stussy was a big supporter.
And, we used to give it in their American Classics sort of trainer shops, clothes shops.
But they were smaller runs than they are now, weren't they? So it was probably easier to...
it was probably only about 1,500 we ever done.
So
print run. So
but they go, wouldn't they? They go.
And there's still some around, like you've brought some in. It's fantastic to see them. Obviously I've got all the new ones for partnership with Defected. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Stuart's got you've got a whole load in your loft.
I've got a whole, and
I did look on eBay to initially to see if there's any on there, but I couldn't find
with
any.
about 500 Faith 10-year t-shirts in my loft.
Is that the loft that I used to go in?
I'll just, when we get to 30, I'll get up there with my marker pen and do a 3-0, and we can start flogging them.
But have you got? I've got
a loft full of records and fanzines and 10-year Faith t-shirts.
Used to be my favourite room, didn't it?
It did till we put your foot through the ceiling. Not allowed up there anymore. Anyway.
So the crash happened, and obviously we moved through that period. When Faith as a fanzine kind of shuttered at that point, did you think at any point that it would come back in terms of?
Me personally, I didn't.
No. I mean, it's a bit of a leap, but I mean, it was we tried the odd party between 2012, which we shouldn't have done really, because we'd had our best times, and then it's a bit of a leap. But we were pretty fallow really in those years. We were still mates, and we'd still DJ together and maybe play at parties under a different name. But Faith, I think we did.
It gone to a low point.
It ran its course, and we were someone just, I can't remember. It was you, Dave, mentioned it to me. I think a couple of people were just around that 2019 time or 18 were like, you realise it's 20 years of Faith next year. You really should make a point of it or do a party. So I was like, and then how we ended up at the original cause in Tottenham, I can't remember, but we had a long run up at it, and because we hadn't done a proper one, I think, for a long time. And because we said it was the last one, I think, which it was totally intended to be. It wasn't a fake retirement with the plan of coming back. It really was. But around that time, and that was when there was some definite synergy there, because around that time, that was when Simon Dunmore got in touch with Terry about the fanzine, and then we're doing.
Seamus was the one.
We're doing the party,
he and come to the parties basically, wasn't he? Seamus,
from Defected,
followed us from day one, and I think we were in India, and there was an email, wasn't there, from Dunmore via Seamus or Shamus.
Well, I think he got Simon called Terry, but anyway.
I think that.
And then we said we'll have a meeting when we get back.
Yeah, I think basically
pulled him out the
what
river.
happened was Simon Dunmore was in New York, and he was having lunch with the two people from Love Injection fanzine, which is a fantastic fanzine. Yeah. And they were telling him, they were influenced by Faith and all that, and he sort of said, why did you stop it? And I kind of went, just simply, because the advertising situation. And he said, well, what if you didn't have to worry about that? Would you consider doing it again? And, it was like, yeah, let's consider it. Yeah. And obviously Defected as well. If they've got you can say to them, we want Louis Vega, and they just go, hey, Louis, you're in town. Whereas before we were...
Yeah, we'd have to take longer.
It was taking longer,
Yeah. And so before we dig into that relationship with Defected and the detail of that partnership, I remember interviewing you, Terry, for this podcast back in 2019. It was, we've done over 60 episodes now. You were episode 9. Thank you for sitting down with us, being one of your true originals on that one. And we were talking about Faith and the like what was kind of happening with that. And I think at that point these conversations hadn't happened yet, and you were talking about potentially doing this, like you say, this last dance in London at the cause, and obviously it's all grown from there, which is fantastic to see. So it's a new lease of life then with this Defected partnership.
Definitely. Definitely. It was like I said, there was a lot of synergy involved. Did the cause wanted us back. People loved the party. The fanzine was on the table again, and it's led on to the in the contract, well, the brand, the merchandise, and the label. The record label, which is really important to give us an outlet for music we like, and it's been a real good shot in the arm for us, for sure.
I think as well. I think Defected had changed as well as a label. Before they were kind of seen as kind of bit funky house and very up stuff, and by then they were like Dennis Ferrer, and they were putting out more music that we would definitely be playing.
Luke
So
got involved.
And they were hooking up with like Classic was a label that we loved, and then suddenly they're a big part of it's Classic aligned with Defected, so we it's much more we feel at home with something like Classic in there. So I think we'd moved a bit more towards them, and they moved a little bit more towards us. So it was an easier marriage, because I think if you look back in kind of the original fanzines, that was a bit of defective baiting going on in there. But we won't mention that. Oops.
I have to say, fair play to Simon Dunmore, because as we say, that the bare bit of the fanzine of the forum and the fanzine, it was like against kind of funky house and all this, brutal. He
Defected got a fair bit of that, but look at them.
Someone always had to get it, didn't they?
Exactly. So.
Well, like you say, I mean, you look at their journey as well as a label, and it has, like you say, it has changed, and they have moved, more towards kind of the ethos that you guys stand for. In terms of the content now versus then, obviously no more defective baiting. Apart from that, what kind of difference would you say is the content in Faith?
Well, we have to be
days?
Careful not to sort of bait anyone, really. To be quite honest with you, I mean, I think kind of, we're a little bit too old to be doing that, and a little bit old to be telling everyone what they should be doing and not doing. That's for younger people to do. So I think our job now is just to bring to the attention of the younger kids what went before, and also
things to
try and support younger DJs as well, even if it's just a couple of pages here and there, and just say giving them a heads up,
Yeah, absolutely.
We're a force for good. As opposed to like
a force of evil. We
force of evil.
The online forum was the evil force.
That's it. That's gone.
Yeah. So
I think we've grown out of it.
But I think
there's always a chance it might come back.
Like even like the bear pit, like you describe it as, just existing online generally. That bear pit has just moved to comment.
I mean, it was only banter,
on
but some people did take it quite strongly, and if you were out, they'd come up and say, "What did you say the other week on there?"
Well, you look at what's gone on with the fanzine so far in the Defected partnership and the life of that. Obviously, the first relaunch, it was Danny Tenaglia on the cover. You've had Honey Dijon on the cover. You've had
Paul Weller,
exactly. People that you might not necessarily expect.
Floor plan.
Yeah.
I mean, we've. I think kind of. I think it's important just to for us to for people to do that. Oh, I didn't think you'd have him playing. I didn't think you'd play that record. I didn't think I think that's really important, because I think when people kind of know exactly who you are and what you're going to do, a bit boring, isn't it?
Yeah, no, we've had that we've mentioned big names there, but we Ash Loren for instance was nowhere near as well known as she is now at the point we put her on the cover, and then followed that up, not just we want to put you on the cover, which she came and headlined one of our parties afterwards. So we're genuine supporters. So it's I can't say it's about selling, because we're giving them away, but obviously I think for the advertisers and people still do look at how many copies go out. So there's always going to be that urge to put a Carl Cox or a Louis on the cover, but we would occasionally want to go, well, let's temper that with an Ash or someone up and coming.
I think as well, supporting the female side, because there are a lot of male in the house culture thing, as we all know, but like Hillett, like what was the lady you just said?
No, we've got Tanya Volcano coming up at our next party. But
making records as well. They're producing like Hillett does, isn't she? She's done stuff for the label. I mean, I think she's doing like Radio 1 now sometimes, isn't she? Or gets on there, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's growing. She's
growing really well.
Obviously, you've mentioned it as well. If because of the Defective relationship, if you want Louis Vega, they'll just pick up the phone to Louis. If and we can talk about the new issue that's coming out, which is the Frankie Knuckles special. But in terms of a dream guest that you might not have had, sort of like a white whale you've been chasing that you necessarily might not have landed.
We've been chasing Grace Jones for about 3 years. There's a girl Maz, who comes to our parties. She's worked with her, kind of, like when she's been doing big festivals, kind of in her hospitality, and we've been chasing her, but we've been told kind of she's not doing interviews. She's playing Meltdown, but she's not doing interviews to promote it.
Yeah.
So Grace Jones would be the obvious one.
Yeah.
To have, but we do need an interview to have her on the cover. Can't just stick her on the cover.
No, you can't just write about her. Anyone else that you would spring to mind?
On the male side, Laurent Garnier, we've been chasing, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean
we've had a piece on Laurent, a small.
Yeah, we've
bit.
done Laurent. I think Grace would be the person who we'd like the most.
And do you have a lot of influence in terms of an editorial team between yourselves, in terms of, you've had a New York special, Ibiza special, are these ideas that are being through you guys?
Myself and Andy Thomas, who's the other editor, we pitch ideas to Simon Dawson, who's the Defected link.
Yep.
And sometimes he might say, I don't know, and we go along with, we're not just doing our thing.
Yep.
And he pitches stuff to us, and we're the same. If it's not really faith, we just say it's not really faith. And
Andy's a proper journalist as well, so that helps, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He can spell.
Yeah, Andy's a very good journalist who's sort of done work over about 20 years. So you'll go, right, we're going to do, for instance, I'd like to do a Detroit special next for the winter. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I've already wrote this article on so and so. I've wrote that was, so there's kind of stuff we can pull together.
Yeah, I mean, for the Ibiza special, I'm just going to plug the House Culture podcast here, because Simon Dawson, I did work with him. We annotated our interview with John Trencher. We wrote that up as a piece for that Ibiza special, because he was like, we can't get hold of him, you've done the interview with him, do you mind doing this? And so I actually did have John's contact details, so I okayed it with him, and then he was randomly in Japan staying with a friend, and he was like, can you send me the fanzine? So I got a photo of him in Japan with his copy of Faith, enjoying
fantastic.
it. And, it was a real geeky moment for me. Anyway, in terms of, you mentioned the label as well as the fanzine, the releases on there, you've things, Robert Owens, a new version of, I'll Be Your Friend, and Sam Fisher, Harry Romero, and it's a real mixture, and obviously Roach Motel as well, a real mixture between old and new, updates, fresh material. How important is that?
Yeah, it's what it's like. We try and like a faith party. So sometimes we'll have we call more of a soulful US. We're so recent. Well, I mean, when we have 3 rooms, it's easy. But we'll have a Timmy Regisford headlining at one point, and then we'll have someone that's far more, techno or banging headlining. But we can do that with our crowd. So hopefully the label's a little bit of a shot of that, really. But because recently I was at Terry, it's all been a bit banging, but we know we've got coming up. So we've got a Terry Hunter coming up, haven't we?
Yeah. Kurt Jansen remix of When I Fell in Love.
Yeah. So we're kind of like, we feel like it's all been a bit. So God, well, we know at least we've got that coming up. So we don't want to get sort of, pigeonholed as this bit, kind of. They're just
I think
banging
Defected
records.
kind of. I think they when they're releasing music, they've got a really specific market they're aiming at, really specific market, and I think they see us as we really like this record, but it's not really going to go down with our people. What do you think? And then we can listen to it, and if we like that, that's fantastic.
We saw some, but a lot of it comes via, Seamus Harji there is their head A&R guy, so they'll pass it down and go, how about this for Faith? And we kind of yay or nay it, but there's some good bits in the pipeline. We just want to keep it nice and varied.
Yeah, my next question was going to be, what has a Faith release got to sound like? What ingredients does that have to have? And is it that variation?
Well, I'd always say, would we play it at a Faith party?
I think it sounds like a Faith party.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's always, would we play that at Faith?
Yeah.
And if it's no, then it would just literally be, well, no. That is pretty simple. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, just talking about the scene more in general, obviously you've been a real foundational part of this for so long. You know, from what you've seen now, currently, compared to what you've seen in the past, how healthy do you think the scene is? Is it in a good place? I feel like maybe a few years ago, a decade ago, or whatever, or around this 2012 period when we're talking about, it might not have been it might have been a bit fallow, like you say, but I think it's really reinvigorated.
I think house as a culture or as a music form and a kind of party form is really strong, because I was running my own club in East Village in Shoreditch in the kind of late 2000 and through 2010 into that 2012 era, and I was booking the likes of Derek Carter and Sneak, and it was quite easy to book them, and they were reasonably affordable. I had Kerry Chandler down there in the, you know, this is a 300 capacity basement. I had Kerry Chandler, I had
Quinton.
Crivet, I had Quinton loads of times, Carl Craig, you know, and it also at the same time I was filling it, but I wasn't having queues around the corner with these big names. And the only way I could afford to put them on a small club like that is because we ran the bar as well. But we were doing dubstep nights midweek, which were absolutely mobbed. Yeah. And it was the sound for the kids, and I think they just realised it ain't fun. I mean, no disrespect to the dub, but it was like, if there's kids that want to go out to a party, they disconnect with the house, but certainly now they're looking at the sort of parties that Defected were even putting on and going, God, that's a whole lot more fun than this music and this scene, I'm afraid. So, and I saw that scene go down, and it evolved. Obviously, the dubstep scene evolved, but then just, you know, something that I'm more related to, the house scene, go back up with young kids. Because what was happening, I mean, the good thing now is you'll see at a faith party, there's lots of old people there still, luckily some young, but lots of old people that stopped coming only because they had kids. And their kids were young. Now them kids are old. The grown-ups are going back out, which is great. So we've got new people, we've got the old people coming back, we've got the kids of the old people mainly taking them home at the end of the night going, Mum, Dad, look at the state here, you need to get in a cab.
No, you can't have a pill.
Yeah, no, definitely. They're much more sensible than the parents. But yeah, I think house is really strong. Whether clubs are, as a whole, are really as strong, I don't know. I'm not, you know, like I say, I used to run a venue, I don't anymore, so I don't really know.
I think you know, when I was growing up as a kid, young, and when Stuart was, and right through until probably about the last, you know, 5-6 years, you know, going out clubbing was, you did it, that was what you did. Right? And you go out, you know, to the same club every week, and you would make, you know, you'd meet your girlfriend and you'd be your wife, you'd have kids, you'd follow a DJ, you grow up. I think now kids prefer big events with like 20 DJs on. It costs them like 40 quid a ticket, so they don't go out every week, and they go out once a month to a big event. They don't get to meet anyone really, because they're just sort of in their little crew there, and the people around them all holding a phone up. So
I mean, that's a good point. That whole weekly club culture thing has really gone and lost. That's something I really miss. You know, going to a weekly like space at Bar Rumba on a Wednesday was a big thing for me, and you know, there's such great clubs, and that you would build a community within that. You know, that's what we've done at Faith. There's definitely a community feel to it, but we're too old to get together every week. But, you know, when we do, you know, a lot of people in there, so it's great.
I mean, I'm surprised as well, because, you know, a lot of these midweek things used to be industry, the people in the industry.
Absolutely.
And I'm surprised that, you know, there is no industry parties in the week, really.
Well, I don't think there's the industry budgets to go, because a lot of that would have been on the company credit card, and there's just not that. There's not that budget anymore. So a lot of them kids that have been out, you know, spending money at the bar, a lot of that would have been A&R jobs. Oh, we've heard that record. Well, I've just spent 100 quid on the company card, but you found a good record. I don't think there's that, but I think that's affected it as well.
Yeah, maybe.
Just budgets going down. But I really miss, I mean, saying that I really miss it. I wouldn't be going out every week anyway, but it's a shame, because some of those nights were just incredible. You know, like the WAG would have this real good.
I was going to say, Raw, Mug Club, regular, always go.
Bar Rumba. I mean, Bar Rumba, more of my time, had a great programme back in the day, Chris Greenwood, and they would have from Monday through to Sunday. You'd have Giles Pitts on a Monday, every Monday for years, Kenny and Luke on a Wednesday, Garage City on a Saturday, which would, bring in the lights of more the New Jersey sound, your Humphreys,
Paul Trouble Anderson's club
David Camargo. Paul Trouble Anderson at the Loft
Camden,
every Wednesday.
That
was sort of pre Bar of Space at Bar Rumba, but they were great nights where you'd see people like Loletta Holloway singing live on a Wednesday in this small. We're doing an after party there after Coco in July actually, but it's a small 200 capacity. Yeah. Not the most salubrious. Well, it's better now, but it certainly wasn't the salubrious back in the day.
We would go out. We'd go out. I mean, there was a few of our lot. Me and Terry, Stripey, Nick Tan. There's quite a few others, and we'd go out probably 3 or 4 times. A week. Yeah. If there was something really good on Thursday, Friday. So but not all the time. But there was really good things to go to, and there were good clubs to support, and the music was great, and that's what we were into.
But I don't think younger people could afford to do that now. Anyway, even if there was the.
No, it's different. Yeah.
Just I can't fathom how we used to afford it, to be honest. But it's
well, we used to blag it.
Yeah,
we used to blag in, didn't buy a drink.
No. Sit behind the booth.
I bet clubs used to love us.
No wonder the club shut.
No wonder we're barred everywhere.
So if you look at it now, it's in a healthy space, right? I think.
So,
do you think anything is missing now?
I'm probably the wrong person to ask that, because I'm too old to know that. Mm-hmm. And if you was to ask someone, who's living around here in Hackney, a 19-year-old, is it healthy? He'd probably go, we've got this, that, this little group here that, they're putting a record out, they're doing this. It's their time, it's not our time anymore. And, as Stu said, even if there was these places, we'd probably only go.
We wouldn't know about them anyway.
No one wants to tell us. No one else there.
No.
But also we would just probably go once in a blue moon, to keep your toe in. I mean, I go out. I still go out, but not very often. But I like going out. Mm-hmm. But I can't. For the life of me, I can't believe I could do it like how we used to do it.
Yeah. Well, it's like, it's keeping your interest in the scene, and you need to be present in these spaces to watch. I mean,
the scene is. I don't even know if there is a scene, and I don't know if there was ever a scene. What I think there was especially in a city like London, there's dozens of scenes.
Yeah,
and they all kind of revolved around a certain group of people. That some of them fed into each other. DJs fed into it. He played there, and Shed played there, and Shed played there. But there was never a scene as such. Yeah. I don't think so.
The scene is almost connection, right?
I think there was loads of scenes that were all connected.
Yeah.
By individuals, by music,
fashion.
I think, and whether that's, I think that's still happening. I think probably the kids who are dancing, in New Cross. Are probably, know the kids who are putting on parties on, down by the river in Hackney.
Yeah. This is where a lot of this was kind of born from, these creative people coming together and, having that punk DIY aesthetic attitude and being creative and putting something on and it blowing up.
Yeah. I mean, it does make you worry about the sort of creativity in clubs in London when London has become so expensive to find a living, and that, that's why people do have to squat and... But so that's but I suppose that's London expanding now. As we talked about it earlier about there's you just mentioned there's clubs on in Deptford. There's it's just Tottenham, and now we're up in Silvertown on Saturday. I've never been up that way before ever. So it's just.
I mean, growing up when we used to talk about London, when I was living in Slough, and we started to go out in London, we're just talking about the West End, Soho. That's it. If the club wasn't in Soho, we didn't want to know.
Yeah.
And then I remember someone once said there was a club on east of Old Street, And I remember driving there, and this is like, you know, say like, this is probably like about late 70s, and it was just like, where the fuck
Ghost
are we?
town. Yeah.
There's no one around. You know,
Yeah.
you drive down Shoreditch High Street, and there would be no lights on. It was just all warehouses, and then I think we drove up the Hackney Road, and we got an A to Z. You know, there's no one to ask. Yeah. Honestly, it was some sort of warehouse party east of Old Street, and it was just like you were going to another world.
Yeah.
And even when we putting on faith parties, you know, like Shoreditch was trendy. We were like worried about how far out of wasn't it?
Would people go that far east?
Would they go? Would they go another cab ride from Shoreditch?
Yeah.
And like you say, now it's Silvertown. You know, we're on a DLR.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And we're
in
next,
Essex.
we're in Essex. You know, we're next to the runway. You know,
City Airport. Yeah.
The airport.
Yeah. Well, like you say, these things kind of grow and mutate.
Yeah. But it's interesting, you know. It's like, I mean, our last party was in the West End, at Neon. The old bit used to be called Xenon, didn't it?
Yeah.
But it was so good to go back. I think people really appreciated it because our crowd is older, to go back into the West End, because it is still it's geographically it is still the sort of kind of centre for people to get into. But then again, it's as interesting to go out to somewhere like Silvertown or you know, Deep South, or you know, it's good. It's all out there for London. Yeah.
Yeah, and just flying that flag in these different areas, like you say, you know, it's you need to. You can't be going to the same places all the time.
No.
And
I mean, it's not just London. You know, it's like, you know, Brooklyn's taken over in New York. You know, back in the day, you know, they were the bridge and tunnel crowd, and they were turning them away at the door. You know, nowadays, you know, the people in Brooklyn are turning away the people from Manhattan. Yeah. You know, because they're not cool enough.
Yeah.
And I think probably every major city in the world that happens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, apparently Stockport is the new Berlin, according to Luke.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, because there's nothing going on, you know, because Manchester, you know, people have got to move out
of Manchester.
And find these spaces.
Did look good, that video, didn't it?
Looked brilliant.
Looked amazing. I thought
4,000 people, apparently.
Yeah, I know, I saw it.
Yeah.
Stockport, here we come.
Hey, we should put a party on in Stockport. We could run coaches. Never say never.
I look forward to the 50th anniversary.
Yeah,
50th anniversary. Cool. All right. Well, we've come to the part of the interview actually where we just want to talk about music and tunes, and you know, obviously, what we do on the podcast is for every guest that we have, we get them to submit 5 tunes based on 5 different themes. But this one's obviously a bit different because we want to talk about faith specifically. So obviously we chatted beforehand about, you know, give me a track, just immediately springs to mind what sums up a faith party for you. I'll read them out kind of one by one, but after each one, you just, you know, I chose that one, this is why I chose it, you know, just your thoughts and feelings on it. The first one is, I was so happy when this came up, it was the Hercules and Love Affair. Blind, the Frankie Knuckles.
I think you said that, but we'll play it, don't we? We'll fight over it.
We'll fight over that. I mean,
that's my tune.
Yeah, my tune. He always nicks loads of my tunes.
Oh, here we go.
Believers.
Oh, mate.
He always,
honestly.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Frank.
I think you claim that, to be honest, Stu.
Well, no, look, we'll play it.
But you have...
I'll just play it more. No, he's not playing that one again.
Signature tune, a bit like Dub Tribe for you. There's certain tracks.
Well, it's just an amazing. We all play it because it's an amazing record.
A good record gets played.
You've referenced it. I mean, it's.
But it's a very faith record.
Yeah,
you know, very much.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, it's a sort of it's a sing along moment without being too cheesy. You know, it's. Everyone gets into that as a dance and sing along.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I bought my vinyl copy of it there. Dub Tribe Sound System. Do It Now.
No, that is a Stu's record.
Yeah, I think I've worn that one out.
That is a Stu record.
And we had them play, didn't we?
We did. We had. Yeah, we built up a nice little relationship with the Dub Tribe family, and not many people booked them over here, so we had them. I think it was Ormond's
Ormond
Yard, another club that's
which is in the
it's a
West
restaurant.
End.
It's a West End restaurant, really. So we had them.
Sunshine and Moonbeam.
Yeah, Sunshine and Moonbeam. Yeah, lovely.
What's happened to them now?
I think they're still making music.
You know what? I contacted Sunshine Jones.
Yeah.
He helped us when we did the West Coast magazine. He wrote an article for that, but he also helped me kind of try and understand. And you have to be very careful when you do these specials. West Coast or New York or things like that you get someone on the ground to help you, because you can, if you get it really wrong,
you'll offend people.
It looks really shit. And people are always ready to slag you off.
But for the tune, I mean, it's a classic end of night. It's about 12, 15 minutes long. But that was the last tune at Faith for a few years. I might even play it tomorrow night. Last record.
Play it. Yeah.
Such a tune. It's got that like rolling. I love the rolling piano.
It
just keeps
it's
relentless.
Chaka Khan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Replayed.
Yeah.
Which I never actually I came at it from the other angle. I knew it as that, and then I heard like Chaka Khan, out of context, and was like, hang on.
Cleverly done.
Yeah, shit, that's where it's from. Yeah,
really good.
Okay, Hard Drive, obviously Louis Vega, never forget.
Well, that was the Annex, and it was Diesel who played that, and it was on Strictly Rhythm, I think.
Yeah.
And when he dropped it, the place just went mad. And I just walked up straight up and went, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And that became, played a lot and became an anthem at Faith.
Yeah.
But that was the bomb exploding.
Well, that was
Diesel
good.
dropped it at the right moment.
First party. Yeah. That's the memory from the first party.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, the Annex.
Yeah.
Just
the
as
Annex.
the beans kicked in, wasn't it? And everyone was on the couch.
Yeah.
And they all jumped off of the couch and run to the
There
dance
was
floor,
a
falling
mad
over.
kitchen, and there was a guy that me and Terry worked with, Marcel. And me and Marcel used to get a bit
lively,
funny, and go to the kitchen and get his trolley out and pull it out onto the dance floor. I don't know how we got away with that. And there was all pots and pans on it and everything, and everyone would be hanging around on the pots.
There's a joke there.
Yeah, but we'll leave it. Next one.
Next one. Okay, Nathan Haynes, Earth is the Place.
Earth is the Place. Yeah. Well, that was a big body and soul record.
Yeah.
Obviously Phil Asher and Nathan Haynes.
Yeah.
But Bob Jones and Lofty put it out, and
I think
we went to.
I think we did a party at in Brighton. We did a double header. We did the daytime in the Concourse,
Concord,
and we had George Power
and
from
DJ
Crackers
Spinner.
playing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
DJ Spinner
played
7
after.
inches.
Playing, George played all the kind of the Crackers
classics.
jazz funk and burn off records, and then Spinner come on and he played like sevens of the same era, but he was playing them in a hip hop style, sort of cutting them in, and it was just absolutely fantastic. Everyone absolutely battered. Walked out there at about 8.
Yeah.
And then down to
was it the Zappa? No, it wasn't the
not
Zappa.
the
Was it called the Beach?
The Beach.
It's called the Beach Club.
And then that went on till 2, and it was Colleen Murphy, and she played that record, and she also had an acetate of Finally, Kings of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that was a real Faith moment. I remember sort of hugging me and Diesel hugging each other, saying, "This is so house. This is so house."
Was that the first time you'd heard it then?
I'd never heard it before. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think we'd heard of it.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, it had this record, and it's like
It's a big Lazy Dog record as well.
And it was just like, wow, Yeah,
incredible. Okay, last one. Roy Ayers, Tarzan.
I think I've done all of these. I've stolen
they're all your tunes. It's my Believers.
Well,
because that was what I was going to say. Look, we're going to have an argument.
We can talk about Believers. I didn't put Believers in there because
been in there
we
loads of
interviewed
times
Roy
before.
Davis
So
Jr.
it's not my record then, is it?
He told me his story about that, but you tell me your story about that.
What, the Believers?
The Believers.
No,
yeah,
that's the one we really do fight over. It's such a big Faith record. When that piano drops, and he, it's just my record. But if I rewind, this is a record that Pete
put it
Heller
out,
and
didn't
myself remixed.
Yeah.
So that must give me
No.
100%.
house points over him.
Anyway, so that the Roy Ayres.
Yeah, that's you.
We
That's
were big.
definitely you.
We were big fans of AMA and the Innovisions back in that time when they did that remix of Tarzan. I mean it's. You say it's a remix. I mean, it's its own record in its own right, really. But it was we were kind of never kind of really got into the minimal thing. But it was a sort of record that appealed to that crowd, but also worked for us. It was, I could call it soulful minimal, but it's got, around that time it had everything.
We had a good little hookup with like Innovisions, didn't we? With Dixon. Dixon did those house more fucking house t-shirts.
Yeah, he asked us because we had it on the front.
Because he nicked it off the cover, but it was great, and sort of like give us, a lot of things. We went and played for him in
Berlin,
didn't we?
But yeah, I mean, but again, this relevant. I played it at the recent 25th at Neon, and people are coming up going, "Oh, I forgot about this record." This is a Faith classic, and there are a few, but I'd rather put that forward as a Faith classic than something that's we don't do cheesy, but I mean that is a deep record that goes down really well and would clear flaws at a lot of other places.
Yeah, it's just listening to it in headphones, just the journey that it takes you on.
Such a great song. Great producers and
unbelievable.
Great record.
So what would be, if you were thinking, so what is quintessentially not a Faith record? You say you don't do cheesy or anything like that. Is there anything you would or something you might have played in an earlier Faith era that you might not play now?
I think we don't all of us, we don't like records that try too hard to be big.
Yeah.
Like massive drops down. I'm really bored with people dancing and then there's a drop and they have to stop dancing and then the person's manufacturing them into putting their hands in their ears. I read on social media Derek Carter said I'm a DJ but I really don't want to make you put your hands in the air. I quite like that. It's like because you stop dancing. So I think we like records that are just kind of not sounding forced and not sounding like
not too show-offy.
The big thing.
Yeah. Is there anything that's untouchable for you guys in terms of like if someone came out with a remix for it and you'd be like, what have you done? Why have you done that?
Depends what it is, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah.
That's
or something that if you were presented with something, can you remix this for us? You just straight up say no.
How much are they paying?
Sums it
That's
up.
a good answer.
What's the budget?
What's the budget?
Yeah, we'll do it.
I don't know. I mean, I think you'd have to just take each thing on its merits, but there is certain records that you're not going to make that a better record.
Yeah.
So would you make it a different record? And could you make it?
Yeah, that's a good
Could you
point.
make it? Really twist it and make it a different record, and people go, "Oh, I like what you did there."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's maybe what classics get touched when they don't need to be.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that going on. But
right. Well, this is the end of the interview. It's the final question we always ask. We are obviously House Culture. This is the House Culture podcast. It's very much what we've all talked about. It's not necessarily about the music. It's the fashion. It's the personalities. It's the locations, venues, all these things that make up this whole culture of the parties that we exist in. When you think of house culture, what does it mean to you individually?
For me, it's the community.
Yeah.
It's the people that I love the fact that I've really close friends who met at Faith parties, and they have children, who are now sort of growing into teenagers, and these kids wouldn't have existed if we hadn't put that party on. And God knows what and I think it's the community is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and just the word culture is being into it more than just liking house music. You know, it's respecting people that are in your club with you and being interested in the culture. So it's not, oh, I like that record. You know, I really am into this culture. I want to find out about the past, so I'm interested in reading Faith fanzines. You know, so it is a culture. You know, it's not just a music form. It's far more than that.
Final word.
I agree on both of those. What they've made as their comments. I think I think music. If you're into music, certainly when you're growing up, and you go from say like Tamla Motown or reggae, soul, funk, whatever, disco, and then when you've hit, you find, and you're really into house music, I think you're pretty much into it for the rest of your life, and that's how I feel with it. And the same with the club, and the whole style of it, and the whole thing that goes with it. So yeah,
brilliant place to end.
House music all night long.
House for life.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.